Hey, everybody.
Hi, guys. Well, coming to you from the Mecca of the Mormons, one Salt Lake City,
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
the podcast.
I'm Frank.
And I'm Dan.
Coming up on today's episode, a new What Mormons Believe.
Yeah, this one's the one you've been waiting for, people.
Oh, this is the juicy one.
You're
You think
gonna
of
like
Mormons, this is what you think of.
It shouldn't be. Well, maybe it should be. It is.
It is what you should. It's dirty. It's salacious. It's titillating.
It is titillating.
Mormons don't like the topic.
No,
They shy away from it.
I suppose they do.
This music keeps going on and on. There we go.
Been having
All right.
technical music difficulties.
Yeah, wow. I'm going to have to adjust that in the future. My goodness.
Yeah.
That was a long intro.
Yeah, that'll happen. If you're not careful.
Oh, Dan, do you like letters?
Letters?
Letters.
Like of the alphabet?
No, like letters sent to
Oh.
people. Or open letters, I guess, more than
Sure.
anything. This is more of an open letter type thing.
I've been known to enjoy an open letter or two.
Oh, I want to read one to you.
Oh, I'm all ears.
This is, you remember Joe the Plumber?
Oh, how could I forget?
Joe the Plumber. Sam, Joe the Plumber,
Wurzel
Wurzel-
Blocker or
Wurzel-
Redenbacher.
Wurzelthurger. Yeah, he says he's written a little letter to the world titled "I'm blessed to be a Christian."
Oh, that's nice, Joe.
So it says, and I actually learned a few things about Joe in here. I guess I wrongly assumed that he was already a evangelical type Christian.
Yeah.
He wasn't.
Oh.
It says not so long ago. Maybe I need to do this. Can I do an accent?
It may offend.
Okay.
Depends on how well you do it.
No, not that long ago, I became a Christian. Okay, I can't really do accents. So it says, not that long ago, I became a Christian. It was a magnificent event in my life that transformed me. It was, like many people have experienced, a moment of clarity.
Oh.
The weight came off my shoulders as I accepted Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior. Christianity has made me a better person. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I am forgiven. Thank God. Now, you may remember that Barack Obama and I have an unusual history together. We don't share too many of the same political views, but we do have something in common. We're both Christians.
Yeah.
The president says he's a follower of Christianity, and I take him at his word.
Oh, nice.
I don't question his faith.
It's very generous of him.
Yeah, I don't question his faith. And when I read or hear people claiming he's not a Christian because of this or that, I don't like it.
Good for him.
It's not, Christian. So before this election season gets into overdrive, I want to remind everyone that we're all God's children, and our president should be given the love and respect, the golden rule he puts forth. It's the core of being a good Christian.
I smell a trap.
And if you can get that down, you're close, my friend. One of the reasons I really dig Christianity is that it's so incredibly powerful and amazing. The lives of millions of people have been given meaning by their faith in Christ. And what better confirmation of that strength do we have than the life story of President Obama? Imagine being a child of a mixed-race marriage, especially in the turbulent 60s and freewheeling 70s. And when you throw in that dad is a Muslim and mom an atheist, you know it could not have been easy. And they were communists, for crying out loud. At age 6, young Barry was shipped off to Indonesia and exposed to Islam for several years. His parents divorced. He returned to the U.S., and Barack was placed with his grandparents. By the time he got to college, he was experimenting with cocaine, marijuana, and even thought about using heroin. Sadly... Oh, wait, no. So hardly sounds like someone who would become president of the United States, the most powerful man in the greatest, most powerful country in the world.
Yeah.
Does it? It seems against all odds. Almost miraculous.
Oh,
hey.
I'm not
Joe the Plumber. I don't know where
I'm
you're going with this.
Confused right now.
I know, right?
Joseph T. Plummer. Isn't that his name?
I don't know. After Barack Hussein Obama suddenly cast off his Muslim roots, rejected his mother's disbelief in God, turned tail on the Islam of his early life, and converted to Christianity, blam! He's elected president. He actually puts blam in there.
Yeah, of course.
Anyone who believes the two things are not connected is being disingenuous at best.
Oh.
I don't know how or when it happened, whether he was partying at college or 5 minutes before he decided to run for office, but it doesn't matter. He came to Christ, and he is my brother.
Wow.
And it kind of goes on. Barack Obama once famously told me that he just wanted to spread the wealth around, and I take him at his word about that as well. After 3 years of watching the policies he put forth, the agenda he's been pushing, and the detrimental effect it's had on our country, I don't question it one bit.
Joe.
Joe.
Hey, you want to be president? All you got to do is convert.
That's he recently converted. Does he really think that the two things are linked?
That man. Well, okay. First of all, do we have any indication of? I guess I've never read his autobiography. Was Barack not raised Christian? He was raised Christian, wasn't he? By his grandparents?
I think by his grandparents. That's my understanding.
And his mom. I thought his mom. Anyway,
his mom was not a believer.
Oh, who the hell
his
cares?
Mom famously was not a believer.
Really? Well, who cares?
Yeah.
I mean, it's all so stupid.
Yeah.
But
I just loved it. I loved how nonsensical it really is, but also just the fact that he's like all. I don't know what he's.
What was your point there, Joe? I mean, because if your point is what you seem to think it is, then God wants Barack Obama to be president.
Yeah, if it's a miracle, wasn't God's hand involved in making him president?
If he became Christian and then became president because of his Christianity, then that's God's will, and you would subvert God's will.
That's what he's saying. That's what I heard.
He has not followed this through to its logical conclusion.
No, I don't know. Again, that whole you're expecting too much of people, Dan, to be logical.
Of a plumber who wants to be what is he running for?
Congress. He's running for the I believe the House of Representatives.
Oh, good.
I might be wrong.
Well,
he might be running for Senate, but
in
usually when people say they're running for Congress,
what fair state does he hope to represent?
Dan, you're asking me questions.
Well, okay, I'm just curious.
I to be honest, I got on the website because when I first read it, when I got to the part about the whole blam and all that, I was just like, this is fake. This is totally 100% fake. And I was laughing and I was having a good time with it. And then like I was like, I figured I better, trace it back to its roots. And when I did searches on it, a lot of, media outlets were reporting on it. And I was like, oh wow, well, if he's being duped or whatever. But anyways, no, it's actually on his website. And I did go to his website. I just didn't pay any attention as to like which congressional district and where and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, Joe Wurlitzberger, Wurzelbacher. What he's a treat.
Wiener Schnitzel.
Joe Plummer, Wurzel Plummer.
I
think it's Wurzel Plummer. Anyway, I wish him all the best.
Wurzel Plummer.
Good job. So, okay, so you remember when we were talking about those uppity nuns that were pissing off all of the Catholics?
God damn it, I hate uppity nuns.
There were
uppity nuns.
All the nun skulls out there.
Look at you.
Yeah. Who anyway, so yeah, they just got scolded by the Vatican. Well, so the
Vatican's
there is now a full-on war, my friend.
There is,
and it's happening on the tweeter.
Did the Vatican declare war? They are a sovereign state.
That's true. They could
declare war on whatever they want to.
But this is a cyber war.
Oh,
of tweeting,
a war of the future.
It is a war of the future.
Yeah.
The future of the Catholic Church.
War.
So what happened was, of course, people have been going back and forth. There are people who are, of course, supporting the nuns.
Mm-hmm.
Like, anyone who's progressive in the Catholic Church. And then there are people who are, like, wildly opposed to the nuns. Just like anybody who's, old.
Male.
And male.
Largely describes the group. Okay.
Yeah. So one guy, a Reverend James Martin, he's the culture editor of Jesuit Magazine, America. Jesuit Magazine America, I guess.
Okay.
And
it's a good read.
And he said He was responding because okay, so I'll read this. There's a pretty choice quote from one conservative theologian named George Weigel.
Oh.
And he said, yes, many sisters continue to do many good works. On the other hand, almost none of the sisters in the LCWR, which is the League of Christian Women Religious, or what is it? I don't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. Leadership Conference of Women Religious.
Mm-hmm.
None of the sisters, almost none of the sisters.
None of the sisters?
It's almost none. I want to get this right. Almost none of the sisters in the LCWR congregations wear religious habits. Most have long since abandoned convent life for apartments and other domestic arrangements. Their spiritual life is more likely to be influenced by the Enneagram and Deepak Chopra. Enneagram? I don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
And Deepak Chopra than by Teresa of Avila and Edith Stein. Their notions of orthodoxy are, to put it gently, innovative, and their religious relationship to church authority is best described as one of barely concealed contempt.
Does he end by saying, I want to end this nonsense?
He should. Oh, he missed his opportunity.
Oh, drat.
Oh, sorry about that, Weigel. So anyway, this Reverend James Martin came along and he said, what's really overdue is expression of gratitude to the women who founded schools, hospitals, and charities across the USA and the world. And he wrote, he launched the hashtag, What Sisters Mean to Me.
Oh, and that's sweet.
And isn't that nice?
That's nice. I like that.
Well,
he's nice.
The new thing on the Twitter is the hashtag reversal.
Oh yeah, that's big.
Everybody likes to. If you've got a hashtag going, the opposition's just gonna fuck with your hashtag.
Right.
So what happened was a Catholic blogging priest named John Zulsdorf.
Name like that.
Yeah. It's almost as bad as Ratzinger. So he said that I just love he referred to these women as the queen pins of the magisterium of nuns.
The queen pins.
He said they styled themselves as teachers about faith and morals over and against the bishops and Holy Father, and that they have become defenders of abortion and homosexual acts.
Nobody could be more moral than a bishop.
Right.
Never.
No.
Never.
They are the be all and end all.
Ew. Gross.
So anyway, he suggested, go ahead and tweet and use that same hashtag, but then link it to his little posts.
I don't like this guy.
And his posts are called Nuns Gone Wild.
It's conjuring images.
I know. I'm kind of enjoying those images, frankly.
Does he understand? Now that you don't call it Nuns Gone Wild.
I think there are going to be a lot of very disappointed young Catholic boys.
Nuns Gone Wild.
Yeah. And we need to start, I'm sure that there's nun porn out there. We need to start linking to nun porn with that Nuns Gone Wild
thing.
That's
awesome.
Just to turn his shit around. Because he's trying to turn...
being a douche.
He's trying to turn the other stuff around. We should turn his... Okay, so if you have a Twitter account, listeners, seriously, if you're feeling industrious, go and find yourself some nun porn and then link to it. And then hashtag...
Wait, is this porn for nuns? Does it involve, being married to Jesus?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, it should.
I think it needs to be a nun showing her boobs.
Mm.
A so-called nun.
There's a lot of talk about, this is where words like ecstasy even come from, you know? I mean, these are religious ideas.
Yeah.
I've seen statues in Rome that would... in churches of nuns and saints...
Getting their toes curled up by Jesus?
Let me tell you, it makes you blush,
Nice.
Yeah, there's one, oh my God. There's one, where, I can't even remember where it is.
Maybe it should be a compendium of those.
She's leaning back, and I mean, the look on her face,
She's
Wow.
feeling that ecstasy.
Oh yeah,
She got the Jesus running all through her.
she does, and there's like rays of like gold that symbolize the light, and she's being kind of like lifted up. And I wish I could remember who it is, but sadly, I have a lot of art in my head from Rome, but I don't know what half of it is.
Well, yeah. They do have some art in Rome. I've heard.
Yeah,
I've heard that Italy sometimes they have
there's
some art.
A lot of
somewhere.
sculpture in my head that I don't even know what it is, but it's really cool. Anyway,
Well, there you go.
Ah.
Anyway,
all right.
hashtag wars.
Hashtag wars. I like it.
Hashtags against nuns.
Yeah. So
At some point when we get really, really famous, we'll launch a hashtag and we'll get a lot of
war. We'll get war, Dan.
We'll declare war.
We'll declare war. Did you know, Dan, that religiousness is a key factor for Romney and Obama's support? Like, would you have needed a poll in the field to like come up with that sentence?
I don't know that I ever would have guessed that was even possible. It just doesn't seem likely that religion plays a role in American politics,
especially
these days.
presidential politics.
Right?
Like,
Right. Especially when you got a Mormon out there on the.
Yeah. No, never. It's not. The subject won't even come up.
Although I am going to guess, though,
That somebody did put a poll in the field about this.
Not only that, but that my friend who thinks that Romney can't possibly win because his Mormonism will kill him with the far-right religious folks is going to be disproven by what you're about to say.
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. So Gallup did a poll, and they asked they what they did is they broke down people's support for the presidential candidates based on their own religiousness.
Okay.
Right. And it's interesting. They have three categories of how religious the respondents were: very religious, moderately religious, and non-religious. And so very religious is defined as religion being an important part of daily life, and there's at least weekly or almost weekly church, synagogue, or mosque attendance.
Okay.
And this group makes up 41% of registered voters that were interviewed.
It's a big group.
Yeah, that's a big group. Those respondents, of the very religious, 37% support President Obama, and 54% support Romney.
Actually, Obama did better than I expected him to.
Yeah,
do.
right? Kind of.
Wait, what's the spread on that? 37 and 54?
37-54.
Okay.
And then there's obviously some undecideds
Right.
in there. Moderate religious, 54% support President Obama. And 40
of the moderates.
of the moderates, and 40% support Romney. And of the non-religious, well, you guessed it, 61% support President Obama, and only 30% support Romney.
So how does that play out? Does it list how it plays out percentages of Americans? Like
if you were to actually
to add up like how many? It probably doesn't.
Well, I mean, if the poll is to be,
because I'm not doing any math here, but that sounds like Obama's got him soundly spanked.
Yeah, I mean, there's that whole fact that obviously the very religious, the church going folk do represent probably somewhere around that 41%. If this
Right.
poll is to be trusted,
Sure.
Whatever its margin of error is, I don't remember. But anyways, you could figure that probably 4/10 to 5ths. Look at me doing math in my head, reducing down the fractions. That percentage of the population it's probably pretty close.
Yeah.
But anyways, now this is interesting. If you start to look at sort of religious identity, Protestants support Obama at 43% versus Romney's 48% of Protestants. Catholics 51% to Romney's 45%.
Oh.
And no religious identity 67% to Romney's 23%.
And you got to figure my understanding is that the people who self-identify as no religious identity make up well over 15% of the population, probably closer to 20 or 25.
Yeah, in this poll, based on the way that they were, the non-religious were, religion is not an important part of daily life, and respondents seldom or never attend church, synagogue, or mosque. This group makes up 32% of registered voters.
Wow.
Yeah.
And Catholics have got to add another 15 or 20%. Well, maybe not that high. How many? What do you? Oh,
yeah, I'm not quite sure how that breaks down.
I'm going to pull up the Eris report.
Very religious Catholics tilt to Romney. No surprise,
Right.
but just as far as like just Catholic as an as a religious identity, is what they were looking at right there, and that's the whole no religious. That's not surprising, but like I don't know, like
in
Protestants breaking down that way,
that's interesting.
that Romney doesn't even have 50%.
Let's face it. Screw your religious identity. Everybody can see that Romney's a douchebag. It's just how much do you hate Obama?
Exactly.
It's not about do you like Romney.
Yeah.
Catholics, just so that you know, in 2008 on the Aris report, made up 25.1% of American population.
And then it is interesting. They broke down Protestants just based on how religious they were. They didn't get into subgroups. They didn't get into like evangelicals. They didn't do anything like that, which is, I don't know. I would be curious to hear their rationale for not breaking down Protestantism into smaller
They're just
groups.
lazy.
But to be honest, like with these kind of numbers, and they're obviously just looking at religiosity as like
As
a
a
determiner.
concept.
Yeah. The very religious Protestants, 35% for President Obama, 54% for Romney, but the moderately religious Protestants already 51% for President Obama, 42 for Romney.
It didn't mention
and basically
Mormons,
the
did
same
it?
for non-religious Protestants. No,
I'd be interested to see
that would
that
be
one.
fun.
It'd be cool to see, like,
Yeah.
because you know that, like, it's probably going to be 90% for Romney of Mormons. It's certainly not all Mormons.
Yeah.
By no
Yeah.
means could it be all Mormons, but I'm going to guess it's in the 80s or 90s.
Yeah, I don't know.
High 80s.
I don't know. Like that's an interesting one. I know my parents think he's a puke.
Really?
Oh yeah, they'll vote for him.
Yeah,
but
they're not going to vote for Obama, though.
No,
Even if they
no.
hate the guy, they're going to vote for him
Yeah.
over Obama.
And they are voters. They will vote. Period.
If you ask him, even Mormons who don't like Mitt, if you say him or Obama, you're going to get a high percentage that are saying
Yeah.
Mittens.
Yeah. Fortunately, Mormons are pretty well contained
Yeah.
geographically. Not a lot of electoral votes
No.
get decided by Mormons as a whole.
No,
So-
Utah, they will always control completely.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean that much. Utah is a pretty small state
Yeah.
when it
Yeah.
comes to political power.
Yeah, who cares?
4 congressional districts now.
Yeah.
We're all very proud of our 4th congressional district.
Do you love that Wimmer did not get his little seat like he thought he was going to get, or at least his Republican nomination?
Yeah, well,
Like he thought, and instead it went to Love.
to love. Yeah, we're just talking
Okay.
local
Local
politics
politics.
now. Sorry, folks. We don't need to get into that because it's
But
boring even to me.
But she's a black
Yeah.
Republican.
Yeah, she's
If she wins the seat, which it's not given, this is a surprising thing.
No.
For those of you outside of Utah, this 4th seat is not a given to the Republicans. This 4th seat, they've been trying to design it so that it would go to the Republicans.
Oh
because we
yeah,
have
they've
our
been
one Democratic-
gerrymandering the crap out of this state. Of course,
because we have one Democrat who keeps getting elected to Congress.
if you can call him a Democrat.
He's a Democrat. He's a moderate.
Yeah.
He's a moderate.
He's a
Don't
blue-
play
he's a-
that game.
he's a blue
You know,
dog.
I think there should be the problem is, and this is the problem with American politics, is that there's no space for moderates in the Republican Party, and there's no space for moderates in the Democratic Party.
Right.
And so to just say that somebody's not a Democrat, even though that's his father was a Democratic governor of this state. You know,
his dad I actually really liked.
Right. You know, and he's playing politics. He knows what it takes to get elected in this
Absolutely,
state.
absolutely.
But anyways, so he's a Democrat. The Republicans just because hate him.
Right.
And so they've been trying to get him out of there. And so he is running in the new district.
Right.
And so anyways, so Love, she's a African American Republican, obviously a woman. And she would be the only African American Republican woman in Congress if she were elected.
Really?
Uh-huh. Republican woman.
Right.
African American Republican.
Right.
Republican woman. So
that's interesting.
Yeah, isn't that kind of crazy?
No matter what, Utah
we always come up with some good stuff.
Utah's it's a nutty place. It is nutty. Me
anyways,
love.
That's enough of that.
All right.
Wait, was there one last thing here? Yeah, nothing surprising.
Okay.
Oh, it's an interesting point. Obama's underlying theme was that religion and democratic policies are strongly compatible at his recent presidential prayer breakfast thing that they do. He gave a little speech, and that was basically the theme of it. That and then the this is kind of in the analysis of this poll. That may be the case theologically, but in the practical world of today's presidential politics, religiousness continues to translate into Republican voting, a pattern that to this point does not appear to be changing.
That was a great trick that the Republicans pulled.
Yeah.
When they hijacked all of the religious voters.
It's wild.
And then talked them into voting against their own self-interest.
It's one of the craziest things.
I don't like the Democrats right now much either in general, but wow, that was just a trick. They just tricked them.
Yeah.
It was they started yelling really loudly about Jesus, and suddenly everybody's like, "Huh? Jesus? What? That guy's not saying Jesus." Anyway, yeah, Jesus is a good tool. We'll hear a little later some good Jesus talk.
Yeah.
Some good good Republican base audio.
Yeah.
So you know how there was that one iTunes review that we got that accused us of being
trolls,
and being
yeah,
being harsh on atheists and easy on religious folks.
Yeah,
strangely
strange.
Although we have been harsh on some atheists,
we have
been,
and I think we might. To be intellectually honest, I think you have to be willing to go after people of your own community.
You have to be willing to go after whoever needs going after.
Exactly.
That's what needs to happen. So I'm just going to present this next article. You don't know anything about it. And
no, I have no clue.
Where we go with this.
See what my response is?
Yes. Okay, so here's what it is.
Okay.
A young man in a high school. And frankly, this was stupid on the high school's part. The high school apparently had a fictional character day where you dress as a fictional character.
Oh, no.
In other words, let's call it the asking for it day. You'll never guess what this young man showed up as.
Oh, there's like, well, if it's pissing people off, can I guess?
Please guess.
It's a school in the United States.
It is.
He dressed as Jesus.
He was Jesus. Yeah. So, I think this was in Tennessee. Is that where this? No,
oh,
no. Yeah, I thought it was. Oh, this article's confusing. Anyway.
Oh God.
So he wasn't kicked out or anything.
Oh, good.
Here's what happened.
That's smart.
The principal and vice principal approached him in a very intimidating way. I don't know if it was intimidating. They just approached him and said, if your costume starts causing disruption, you have to take it off. And he took it off.
Just right then and there.
I think so.
Oh.
I think they were being very serious about the whole thing.
Oh, wow.
So
okay.
So frankly, none of this really surprises me. He was there. He was doing it clearly to be a disruption or to to cause a stir.
Sure.
Which is fun. I have no problem with that. Cause a stir if you want to. It had the desired effect. He got told. Oh, and also the principal said that they wished he were dressed like Zeus. instead.
Well, if wishing made it so.
Right, exactly.
Wow.
Well, he's not far off.
Yeah.
He's
Oh my
dressed
God.
like a deity that people believe in. Anyway,
Oh my God. Okay.
Um,
All right. So where does this story go?
the Freedom from Religion Foundation
Oh yeah.
has given him $1,000 scholarship for doing this.
Hey. All right. Cool. Okay.
Yeah, you think that's cool? Because I think it's kind of douchey.
Why?
Because he didn't do anything. He was just being kind of a dope. I mean, I'm fine with what he did.
Yeah.
I just think find somebody who's actually like tried to make a difference
Well, here's
and
the
give
question.
them the stupid
Is it a
scholarship.
young atheist who's just trying to like get some stuff stirred up, or is
Yeah,
it
I
just
mean,
a
it's a
kid
young-
who's being blasphemous and having a good time with it?
I mean, he is an atheist,
Okay.
and you know this little stipend
Well,
is meant.
$1,000. It will barely cover his books.
Yeah, I know. I just think like the Rhode Island girl who actually had to go to court and suffered a lot of stuff.
But she has everything paid for. Period. This is $1,000.
Yeah.
It's a drop
Yeah.
in the bucket for a college education.
Okay, well, see, this is why I brought it up because I thought, you know what, it's an iffy thing. It could go either way. The problem is that it gets publicity in the Tennessean
Yeah.
that this group gave out a scholarship for him rabble rousing.
Encourages more rabble rousing.
I think it just encourages people to be angry at atheists more.
Oh.
I think it's basically saying it's like it.
Yeah,
because
I mean,
the way that the public's going to see this is atheists are encouraging other atheists to be dicks to Christians and giving them money for it.
We can't be completely humorless, though.
No, and I don't encourage that. And I like I say, I support the kid
Right.
in his action. I think that's hilarious.
Right.
But if
Just let it be is what you're saying?
But I'm saying we as an atheist community should be rewarding those who are making positive steps for our community.
Absolutely.
And that's where I think that money would be better spent, seeking out people who are not, if you're going to do a publicity stunt, fine, but do it in a way that it's going to be a positive message for our community. I don't know. Because when you give a scholarship like this, you're right. It's not enough money to make that big a dent it's not enough money to make any dent in a college tuition.
Right.
But it's
every
enough
little
money.
bit helps.
But it's enough money
I mean,
to make a news story,
yes.
and that's what it was.
I don't know. It gets people. I don't know. I don't know, Dan. Like, I don't see the big deal. I really don't.
Okay, well, that's fine.
I mean, it's because, like, we're the guy dressed up as Muhammad, and we're like, oh my, zombie Muhammad, right? And we're like, oh, what a dick,
right.
I
don't know. I mean, like, I feel like individual acts are great. Individual acts of like being a dick, that's fine with me. But like institutional acts should be a little more careful, I feel like.
And they gave him a scholarship. I don't know.
I mean,
It's a scholar. I don't know. Is he at least a good student?
I have no idea. It doesn't even mention it. But I think they gave it. No, wait a minute. Last year they did the same thing.
What?
Last year, the student who got the same thing was a student who dressed as Jesus Christ for a similar costume day and was disciplined. So they gave him an award.
Oh,
too.
so it's become the Dress as Jesus scholarship.
Right.
Go to school as Jesus.
I dressed in
offend
Jesus
a
and
few
got
people.
it. I dressed as Jesus and got in trouble scholarship.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I think that. Oh God, I don't know. I don't know, Dan.
It's tricky.
Why is this giving me the big moral and ethical dilemma?
I don't know. For me, it's just like I would rather if I had a
There's
fund.
nothing wrong with dressing up as Jesus.
No, there's nothing wrong with it.
And like,
It's just that if I had a fund, I'd give it to somebody who's making a difference in the community.
Maybe there wasn't a high profile. Well, they could just publicize. I don't know.
I don't know either. I just don't think. I think that my scholarship, the Daniel Beecher Little Atheist Achiever Scholarship,
Okay.
will go to someone who has made a positive impact either on the community at large by an atheist or has made a positive impact in the perception of atheists for the community.
And I think that that's a wonderful thing, and I support you 100% in that.
And that's fine.
But that's want to have
that's my fictional scholarship
if a
to
group
give
of
out.
people,
So these
in
guys
this case, a group of atheists wants to have, a little bit of fun with $1,000 that they're giving out every
Right.
year for a scholarship, and they want to just highlight something that they think is a kid who's standing up to people in his community and bravely going forth.
Sure.
In kind of a dickish way, but nonetheless.
I just think acts like this galvanize the
right.
opposition.
You're right.
Rather than
than
helping our cause, which is its own thing. Whatever.
I think this is a pretty innocent thing.
Yep. In the end, it doesn't worry me that much.
Well, that's good.
But I thought I'd bring it up.
Hey, do you want to know what is not being an issue this year in presidential politics? Have you been paying attention?
What's not being an issue?
What's really not an issue this go around?
What's that?
That has been an issue recently. A lot in presidential politics. The whole gay marriage thing.
Oh.
Isn't that interesting?
I guess I haven't heard it come up. It's got to come up.
It'll come up a little bit, but it's not polling well.
It's
absolutely not polling well this year. Sorry, folks. I have like 2 polls that I'm talking about today.
That's okay.
But no.
Although I do have like a moral opposition to polls, to political polling.
Oh, I don't.
I think
they get closer to the truth of the issue than anything else in our system.
I think it just
there's so much yelling and screaming about everything.
Starts a feedback loop.
I
encourage everyone to lie when a poll comes to you.
God.
Just say the wrong thing.
The issue is that politicians really pay attention to polls.
I know. That's what I'm saying. That's what the fact of the matter is, that politicians pander to these polls rather than what they should be doing.
I think a statistical sampling of the country to figure out what the important issues of the day are, and that actually, if that's what politicians are really going to be paying attention to, I think maybe the polls should be broadened on more issues, because it does always seem to be sort of these hot button issues that get polled. But
maybe issues.
But no,
polling is okay. I also don't like the fact that we poll to find out who's winning and who's
that maybe that I think you're right. Issues are important.
Issues
but
polling
who's
might be
winning
a
in
different
a thing
in a race.
Maybe not so. That you're right. If there's a problem with polls, it's that stuff.
Yeah. But, anyway, sorry. Go on with your poll.
Anyways, so right now in the United States, in this poll, 22% of Americans say they strongly favor permitting legal gay marriage for gays and lesbians.
How many?
Or legal marriage.
That's 22%.
Okay. An identical percentage say they strongly oppose it.
Okay, so we've got
even now.
We've got margins on either side.
Yeah, we strongly have people
for
on both
and strongly
sides.
Against.
Those numbers 4 years ago, there was twice, I'm sorry, strong opposition was twice as high as
strong
support. So
okay.
30% versus 14%.
Oh yeah,
interesting.
Yeah.
4 years before that, opposition was more than 3 times higher than support, 36 to 11.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I mean, you know that the trend, you know where the trend's going.
It's called progress.
It's called progress. And if you have hung out with a group of teenagers anytime recently, you know it doesn't matter where you are. The kids here along the Wasatch Front in Utah, it doesn't matter whether they're Mormon or not.
They don't give a shit.
They don't care about this issue.
No.
They just don't care. And so we know where the trend is going.
Right.
It's just interesting to see that in 4 years and over the course of 8 years, how dramatically that could shift. And of course, then it plays less of a part in the actual campaign.
Yeah.
Because of the thing that people are worried about. And you could just say that they're more distracted by their pocketbook right now and not maybe a cultural war issue.
Right.
But yeah, people are obviously concerned about the economy and jobs and all that kind of stuff.
Well, yeah.
Versus,
well, I mean, you think about it. I guess it was 8 years ago that Utah had its
gay
marriage.
Yeah, it was
amendment to its constitution.
Yeah.
but that was specifically designed because it was such a good wedge issue that it was designed to, like, because there were several gay marriage ballot initiatives across the country that year designed by the Republicans to get the people who were so opposed to it out to vote. Well, of course, they're not going to do that now because they don't. It's not the winning issue that they had before.
No. Yeah. So interesting.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting.
Yeah.
Obviously, as a gay man, it matters, and
I'm not gay, and it matters to me.
Well, but I mean, it's why I pay attention, and it's why on a podcast that's about God or no God, I'm going to bring it up.
It's a huge issue right now. I mean, this is the major civil rights issue of our time.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
This is it. This is the major barrier that's left, really. Can you think of other civil rights issues that are out there?
Well, trans will become a thing.
Yeah.
It will, and
once you open up
right along,
if you open up marriage
be in the wake of sort of the gay stuff.
But if you open up marriage for,
it's actually kind of happening
for everyone,
to be honest,
then it won't be an issue because it's the political issue is marriage.
Yeah,
we're not talking about like social acceptance here. We're talking about a political rights issue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and so whatever happens for same-sex marriage, if it's just open to people without regard to gender, then the trans people are covered.
Yes, but there's a strategic reason why the gay community has gone after marriage specifically, and because the fact of the matter is, like housing and employment and all of those were the easy ones to get. In fact, we see that right here in Salt Lake.
Yeah,
we have on the books here in Salt Lake those protections.
In Salt Lake City proper,
and the county has adopted the county. I can't remember, but there's about 11 or 12 cities. I believe Salt Lake County has adopted the protections because it's cities and counties. And what other county besides maybe Summit, up where Park City is,
right?
But anyways, we're talking local politics again. But nonetheless, we see that these are the easy ones to get, right? But the gay community wasn't going. The people at the national level weren't going for that because they knew that that it was sort of the pinnacle thing,
right?
And that you get that and you publicize it as gay marriage and that all these other things will just kind of fall in place.
Sure,
that's not necessarily going to happen for the trans community in the same way.
The transgender community, the problem is that the people who would deny them rights are people who are really bad at ambiguity. They hate it. They can't stand it when something's not clear cut.
Yeah.
They want black and they want white, and that's all they want.
Yeah.
And they prefer not to have black.
Well, they prefer not to have Hispanics.
And are they white? I can't tell. Do they count?
Well, the demographers say white Hispanics.
I know. Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
I find that bizarre.
Yeah.
And then, speaking, by the way, of Hispanics, did you know that Mitt Romney hails from Mexican immigrants?
I knew this. Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
You'd think he'd pull better with the Mexicans. But no.
I think a different kind of immigrant experience, to be honest.
Yeah. So this Mittens fella, his family essentially fled the United States in order that they should be able to practice polygamy.
This is true.
And yes, spoiler alert, we will be discussing polygamy as in our segment of What Mormons Believe. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
We're going to go into the whole thing about Mormons and like wives and things. Anyway, the Romney family ran away to Mexico because it was illegal here in the United States, these United States of America.
But apparently not in Mexico.
No. Well, actually, I think it was illegal there, but nobody was persecuting anybody there.
And we're talking about extreme northern Mexico, just south of the border.
We're talking about Chihuahua.
Chihuahua. Really? He's Chihuahuan?
He is a Chihuahua. He's a Chihuahua. Mittens is a Chihuahua. Anybody out there who adopts a Chihuahua, name him Mittens. Anyway,
poor kid.
So yeah, he that's what happened. Mitt is kind of denying it.
What?
Or rather, he's being very tricky about it.
Okay.
Somebody mentioned, who was it? It was Montana Governor Brian Schweitzer suggested that he would hit that Mitt would hit bumps in the road in appealing to the national electorate because his father was, quote, born on a polygamy commune in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing incorrect about that. However, Mitt wanted to clear it up by saying, my dad's dad was not a polygamist. Notice the use of dad's dad, not grandpa or whatever. I think that probably pulls better. It sounds very familiar. My dad, don't hurt my dad. And my dad's dad. Anyway, the whole point is he says he was not a polygamist. My dad grew up in a family with a mom and a dad and a few brothers and one sister. They lived in Mexico and they lived a very nice life there, from what I understand. And then when he was 5 or 6 years old, there was a revolution in Mexico. They escaped. And he just goes on.
The fact of the matter is, though, that like those the colonies, the Mormon colonies, still exist
in Mexico. Yeah,
but they're mainstream Mormons now. They're not polygamous Mormons. Really, there's some
there are still some polygamous compounds in Mexico and Canada.
Well, I knew about the ones in Canada.
So yeah. I mean, the fact of the matter is that he distanced himself by saying that my grandfather wasn't a polygamist. Which is probably true. I don't know.
Sure.
But
okay. Fine.
How about your great-grandfather?
Great-grandfather. Yeah.
That dude had wives.
But my dad's dad was.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, for crying out loud, my great-grandfather was a butcher. I'm not a butcher.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I guess the reason, and that's the reason that I brought this up, is because just embrace your wacky history. Yeah. It's there.
My grandfather was a mechanic. I can't fix a car.
Yeah, that's true. Good thing you had that boyfriend of yours.
Yeah, he can fix cars.
He's quite good at it. Anyway, I mean, the whole point to me is that, like, if anything you hide, it's just Mitt, like, doing Mitt's thing, which is anything that pulls badly today, I will backpedal as fast as I can away from, and if it pulls well tomorrow, I'll be running at it. It's just crazy talk. Mitt's just, I don't think he's a very smart politician. You just embrace those things because no one's going to accuse him of being a polygamist.
Well, yeah, and that's all you need to say. Yeah, and because like you think about
the same as the church. The church distances themselves from this thing the same way,
but the people of the church don't. A lot of the descendants that I've known of polygamists, it's this wacky, charming fact in their family history, and they just kind of just blanket, accept it, talk about it. Great grandpa and his 12 wives,
right? And
it's just nobody really cares,
no,
right? Of course, they're talking to other people whose great grandfather also had 12 wives, but
even at that, even if you're talking to someone who has no connection to polygamy whatsoever, it's a curiosity.
It really just is.
That's all it is.
Yeah,
I mean, we're going back 4 generations on this.
It does speak a little bit to there's still, because Mormonism has not been able to fully extract polygamy from its theology.
No.
In fact, they probably don't even know what to do with it, to be honest, because it's there and there's no denying that it's there.
Right.
And they still believe that men can have multiple wives in heaven.
Theologically speaking, they are still polygamists.
And theologically speaking, they are still practitioners of polygamy.
Right, but maybe we should hold on this and save it for our our segment.
Okay. I'll shut up.
We're getting into we're melding segments.
I know, it's just terrifying.
It's awful.
It's terrible, terrible, terrible. Well,
should we take a break?
Yes, if you'd like to join the conversation that's happening right now on Facebook.com/TTT TGI Atheist. Please go over there. We're getting lots of hits, and
Yeah, we're
up to what, 52 likes?
59.
59 likes, people. That's 7 more likes than last week.
What if we got over 70
That
or
would be
75?
cool.
What if we hit 75 this week? Come on, we can do it.
You
If
can
we all band together, we can have 75 people participating in our online conversations.
You can also like or follow us on Twitter at TGI Atheist as well. There's a less vibrant but still a conversation going on there, and posts. If you're more of a Twitterer than a Facebooker, and that's just what you're comfortable with, the posts will end up in both places. So that's not an issue.
And use hashtag Frank and Dan. Just kidding.
No,
I'm
that.
just throwing out hashtags now. I'm just trying to create. I'm launching hashtags
Because then people can do hashtag Frank and Dan suck, and
yeah, do that too.
I
don't care.
Yeah.
Any publicity is good publicity, right?
Yeah. And so, of course, there's still the voicemail. That's 424-666-8442.
Right.
And there's the email that you can send us emails at, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com. So let's take a quick break, just so you know what this is, because you will be lost if we don't let you know.
Yeah.
This is a clip from that wonderful TV show. I don't think it's still on anymore.
Which is a shame.
Oh, it's a damned crying shame. Trading Spouses. Do you remember that trashy show?
Yeah.
It's at least a trashy title.
I think I've seen I've seen 2 episodes of it.
They're pretty wacky and they're fun. But anyways, the whole premise of the show, if you're not familiar, they would take these 2 very different families,
Right.
And then
usually they're like conflicting different,
very like Republican or Democrat,
right?
Or
like
in the case of this one,
hippies and
bankers
or something. Yeah.
This one is a very, I'm guessing, kind of evangelical-ish type woman who had to go live with an astrology practicing family, and so their mom would have gone into this really Christian household.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's where the Trading Spouses comes in. And then it's a show about sort of a clash of cultures and see how people deal with that. And
No. It's a show about what you're about to hear. It is a show designed specifically to try and make what you're about to hear happen. And it happened.
Yeah.
This is my house. I want no money. I want nothing. I want my God and I want my family. This is tainted. I don't want it. Whatever it is, it's tainted. Whatever it is you give it me, I give it up to God. I'm a God warrior. And I don't want someone with tainted anything in beliefs doing anything with my family. Get out. Get out. I want these crew members leaving. Get these ear sets off of me. I've had enough. Gargoyles, psychics, everything's ungodly. Dark-sided.
I'm glad you're home.
Get the hell out of my house. In Jesus' name, I pray. I've had enough.
Mama, just sit. Mom, come sit with us.
Did you talk about astrology?
No.
Did you get hypnotized by her? I have taken a stand. I am not a fence rider. I was over there praying for all these people, but I needed prayer. I needed you to be
praying for
I needed you. You get me.
Gargoyles and
Slackers. No, wait,
Slykicks.
Slykicks. No, please, no Slykicks.
Oh, Frank, I have bad news for you.
What?
I think you're dork-sided.
Oh, yeah, we already knew that.
Oh, you know what? Honestly, a woman like that is doing you a favor if she kicks you out of her home.
Yeah, no kidding.
Thank
The
you.
clip is really funny. We'll post the full clip, a link to it on the Facebook feed.
Sure.
But it's delightful. It's so silly.
Oh my gosh. And she looks like what you think she.
Oh,
I mean-
there's like missing teeth and shit. Yeah.
But
I
she's-
wish I'd been able to watch the whole episode and not just that clip, because I would like to see how sort of the psychic / astrologer woman did with the family, because it sounded like, I mean, this family
I'm
looks
guessing-
completely caught off guard.
I'm guessing she
I think
did
they had
fine.
I think they had a great time. With
I'm
this
sure
woman.
they did. I'm sure they did. That husband's like, well, I'm glad you're back. We had wonderful time.
It's the best time ever.
Ah!
And at another point in the clip, she also refers to tarot cards. It's like, did she get them tarot cards out?
Did she astrologize at you? Oh, Lord.
Hypnotized. She hypnotize you?
Hypnotize.
Did she say hypnotize? Oh my God, that's funny.
God.
All right, Dan.
So, you know what I wanted to do? We got a couple emails.
Oh, read
that
some emails.
I think that we should mention. Just
that.
wanted to say thank you. We got an email from our friend Jordan, who we talked
cool.
about. We now know that he's at Hunter High School.
Oh, hey. Okay.
And he emailed us to ask us about advice on starting a club for the atheists over to the high school.
That was in the last episode. Yeah.
And he said if he found a teacher that would sponsor him, then he would start this club.
Did he find a teacher?
He found 2 teachers willing to sponsor the club.
Shut up. Congratulations, Jordan. That's awesome.
And enough people willing to join and a schedule for the meetings.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So
that's super cool.
Yeah, he needs district approval and a name.
Oh.
And so the call is being put out, folks.
Hey.
Go onto the Facebooks and start suggesting a name for the club.
I think that's great. Yeah.
He suggested that it's at Hunter High. So if you want to use H or double H in your acronym.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Go right ahead.
Let's get this thing crowdsourced and get them a name.
But yeah, it's he doesn't want to exclude agnostics or deists.
Oh, okay.
Do we have a deist community really going? I don't know that there's that much deism. Deism.
Are those the people with the pyramid?
That's some of them. Some of them are. Yeah, Google some of them if you want to. Anyway, so good job, Jordan. And again, we'll be keeping tabs. Keep us up to date on what's happening.
Yeah,
and,
that's great.
And good on you.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Cool.
And I just wanted to do a quick shout out to the Vulcan.
Oh, hey.
I don't really know. I'm guessing that's not this person's real name.
I hope it is.
I hope it is too. Mr. the Vulcan or Miss.
Or Mr. Vulcan. His first name's Da.
Okay. Mr. or Miss Vulcan.
Okay.
We hope that you will legally change your name to the Vulcan. And may you.
What does he say?
It actually makes some interesting comments. There was we talked about the Mormon concept of the pre-existence.
Mm-hmm.
And he found some similarities between that and some of Tolkien's work.
Oh.
And wondered if J.R.R. Tolkien was perhaps familiar with the Book of Mormon, which is an interesting thing. And I'm going to bring it up actually with a professor that I know who is both Mormon and has done extensive study of Tolkien.
Oh,
so
cool.
I'll just ask him about it. Anyway, thought that was interesting. Just want to shout out to Mr. and or Ms. Vulcan.
Yeah, okay. Perfect. Cool.
Yeah. So,
does this bring us to our special segment?
It's now time for What Mormons Believe. Oh, the Mormons. They are
wacky good time.
They are a nutty bunch. And now we're finally to the distinguishing Mormon nuttiness. The nuttiness. When you think of Mormon nuttiness.
Oh, yeah.
This is what you first land on.
Maybe.
The polygamies.
Yeah. I think it's way up there as far as I think what people might flash to. I think a lot of people flash to the nice little missionaries.
Yeah.
As far as just like, because again, if you're going to talk wacky and Mormon, here's guys in suits with backpacks on, bicycling through communities everywhere, and I think that catches people's attention too.
That's true because it intersects with their lives.
Plenty of wacky.
Yeah, but
that's why we're talking about them.
But guys,
that's why we have the segment.
But guys going through your neighborhood is not quite as nutty as folks getting married to multiple people.
Oh, that's what you were talking about.
That's what polygamy means. Yeah, Frank.
What?
Yeah. Sometimes
somebody
marries.
No. I thought it had to do with like small people.
Politically.
Pimigmy.
Pigmiddly. What are we doing? Off track. We are off track. Now have we just I think we've just alienated
Oh,
the dwarf and
no. Oh,
Native
damn it.
African populations that are listening to our broadcast. We embrace you all.
We're offensive. We're
Any-
not though. We don't
No.
believe it. We have fun.
We do have fun.
Yeah.
So this plural marriage thing,
Yes.
not publicly acknowledged by the church until they were here in Utah,
That's true. Yeah.
but it started long before that.
Oh, until an active, regular Joe Mormon,
Yeah,
Joe 6-pack Mormon,
Joe
and that's a 6-pack of Diet Coke.
Joseph Smith Mormon
Oh, hey,
actually
hey.
was the Joe.
Yeah, but they don't. Your mainstream Mormon does not necessarily even know about that.
No, that's true.
So
Because-
if you bring
because
this up
in-
with them,
you're gonna
our
have to back it up.
listeners, You're gonna have to, be ready for that.
So it's because the story from the church for the longest time was this was not practiced until we got to Utah.
Yeah, I think have they gotten better on that now?
They have. They've acknowledged.
Yeah.
They've acknowledged that it happened back in.
Well, for crying out loud, there were books that they published. You remember those the church history volumes that were like color,
Oh, yeah.
fantastic 70s color
Oh,
scheme.
yeah.
You know, those had tons of crap in them.
Well, yeah, and
Like
and
that.
the church's own history department, which is no longer the church no longer has an official history department. But when they did,
Don't?
no, because they moved them over to BYU and just called them part of BYU.
Huh. Okay.
It was specifically because they were uncovering a whole bunch of stuff that the church wasn't comfortable with and putting the church's official stamp on it.
At least now that if it's a BYU person, they can kind of
They can distance
just
themselves.
excommunicate them.
Well, I mean, they
Yeah.
have done it.
No, I know.
So yeah, I mean, so my mom was a part of the church's history department,
Right.
and that department actually did some really good scholarly work
Mm-hmm.
and unearthed a whole bunch of shit,
Okay.
including the fact that one Mr. Joseph Smith
Uh-oh.
was the progenitor and original practitioner
Right.
of this practice.
Right.
Much to the chagrin of his first wife, by the way,
Oh.
who was not
She was none too pleased.
she was not a happy camper about it.
No.
Emma.
Oh, poor woman. I mean, Emma, as far as like women who got the, short end of the stick, that poor woman.
Yeah, well. Yep. Yeah. So some interesting facts. Joseph Smith publicly condemned the practice and denied it. Everybody denied it. Everybody and publicly made lots of big statements about how it wasn't being practiced and it's all a lie and blah 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 blah.
Wow.
And one of the interesting things in Mormon folklore, the events that led to Joseph Smith's death
Mm-hmm.
are essentially this. At least this is how I learned it.
Okay.
All of the communities surrounding, I guess this was it Nauvoo at this point,
Uh-huh.
Illinois?
Uh-huh.
All of the community, or was it in Missouri by this point?
No, Missouri was before Nauvoo.
Right. Okay. So yes, we're in Nauvoo, Illinois, and the folklore says all of the communities surrounding them were just Mormon haters for no reason.
Okay.
They just hated the Mormons
okay.
and persecuted them.
That's the standard narrative.
Right.
Okay.
And then they came in and arrested Joseph Smith,
Right.
and then a mob came and shot him while he was in jail.
Yeah, it's all like very. Like, I remember being a kid and just hearing sort of the basic story and just going, "Why?
Why did they kill him, or why did they arrest him?
Why were they so pissed off
Right.
at the Mormons all
Yeah.
the time?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, okay, like they're the Lord's people and all, and Mormons think that's just enough
Right.
to be persecuted.
Well, again, Mormons think they're Jews,
Right, exactly.
and Jews think that everyone's always against them, which frequently they are.
oh, hello.
Frequently they are.
Open a history book. But yeah, like but I remember there just sort of being this like blank space
Yeah.
in the narrative.
Yeah.
Where it's like it just wasn't good storytelling, you know?
Right.
Like,
yeah. There was just this everybody hated them.
Yeah.
Well, and I never understood what he was arrested for. Like, I mean, the way
thought
the
it had to
narrative,
do with. Okay, go, and then I'll see if it's the thing I'm thinking.
the way
of.
the narrative always was presented to me was that he was just arrested for being him, for being the prophet of God, and
exactly
and these people were just
and
evil
they were
people,
lawless, evil people.
and they just arrested him.
Right.
Well, no, there were charges filed. He was
Really?
arrested for real,
Yeah.
and the charges that were filed were. Did you want to talk about?
Well, I want to hear what you have, because if it's different, then I'll say what I always thought it was.
It was for destroying a printing press.
That's what I. Yeah. That's
Right.
what I knew. Okay.
I think it was the press that printed the Nauvoo Expositor, which
I believe that's correct as well.
which was a paper in Nauvoo
Mm-hmm.
by Nauvooians, and by the way, Nauvoo was entirely Mormon. It was
Yes.
it was founded by them, and it was meant to be an exclusionary place where only Mormons were.
Right.
And somebody printed somebody printed that polygamy was happening.
Right. But again, in the little bit of the narrative that you get of that in sort of your Mormon upbringing,
Mm-hmm.
because I do remember that being a part of it. But my family also went to like on vacation to Nauvoo and that kind of crap.
It is kind of like the Mecca that Mormons go to. So so I guess at the top of the show I was wrong when I said that this is the Mecca that Mormons go to, because really
It is really Nauvoo.
Nauvoo, Mormons go to Nauvoo.
They trek to
Yeah.
Nauvoo. Yeah. So I remember that being the thing, but for whatever reason in my head, I don't know if it was because it was presented this way or just the way that you would translate it in your head. I always thought that it was sort of an anti-Mormon campaigning. That the Nauvoo Expositor was an anti-Mormon press.
There was tension.
Period.
There was tension.
Yeah.
Between the expositor and the presidents of the church, but really what it was that they revealed that that leaders of the church were practicing polygamy.
Wow. Okay.
And this was the first time it had gone into print or something.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
yeah, Joseph Smith ordered that
So he destroyed a press,
the press be
a privately
destroyed.
held press.
right.
Yeah.
So they arrest the mob. You know, the law officials arrested him, and then a mob did come and shoot him
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
in the jail.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that begins
Mm.
regular Americans versus Mormons on polygamy. Like, it was already like a problem. Now it's like a huge problem.
Yeah.
And so the
Yeah.
Mormons flee across the plains
Mm-mm.
to a desert.
A lovely desert.
A lovely desert, and boy did they make it bloom.
Yes.
But yeah, they flee to here and continue their practice, and now it's out in the open.
Yeah.
And now it's like now it's almost a fuck you to everybody. Fuck you, we're gonna practice this shit and we're gonna tell you about it and blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, they also were in the very early days of being here, not in the United States anymore.
right. Oh
They
yeah.
were in Mexico.
Oh, right. So the mass exodus, the Mormon
Mhm.
exodus, was from the United States to Mexico.
Yeah.
And then the year after they got here, the U.S. gained this part of the country, and they were back in the U.S. again.
That had a sting.
Yeah, that sucks. I'm sure that there were meetings like, should we go south to where Mexico is now? And they're like, screw
They'll just
it.
move it again.
Right. Well, and plus they were so far away from everybody else. It was like,
Yeah.
it's not like anybody was marching here anytime soon.
But they did.
But they did. Okay, so by the way, do you have any sense of how many wives Joe Smith ended up with?
Wasn't it like up in the 30s or 40s?
Well, there is some question about that, to be
okay.
honest with you.
Oh, interesting.
Different historians put it at different marks.
Oh.
Fawn Brody, who's a fairly famous historian and wrote one of the definitive biographies of Joe Smith, put it at 48.
Okay.
Michael Quinn, another prominent
Yeah.
Mormon historian,
Oh, yeah.
put it at 46.
Oh, wow. Okay.
A lot of those were actually posthumous sealings to
Gross.
Mr. Smith.
Dead women?
No, he's dead, and the women
Shut
are getting
up.
sealed by proxy. So I don't even know what the point of that would be.
So that, like old Mormon librarians spinsters,
Right,
librarians,
right.
were like,
Well,
I
because
guess
and we should
they're
explain that
they're like Mormon nuns.
Mormon theology was not clear in that time about what it meant, but it has become clear in Mormon theology since then that in order to achieve what's called exaltation, which is the highest order of glory once you're dead, you have to be married.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
so all these women who are being sealed posthumously to Joe Smith, that's important. Otherwise, they don't get to be exalted.
Yeah.
Anyway,
But it's kind of like being married to Jesus, isn't it?
yeah, kind of. I mean, your husband, you're just congratulations
Jesus
on
is
your
a big
marriage.
polygamist.
Oh, he is. All those nuns?
Catholics practice polygamy.
They do.
The same kind of polygamy that Mormons practice.
Nuns.
Nuns in the big J, big JC.
That's good. We'll use that.
Yeah,
We'll hit him with that one.
yeah. Okay.
I don't think it's quite the same. But yeah, during his life, they say that he was married to probably somewhere between 29 and 35.
Oh, wow.
I don't know.
Okay.
It's totally unclear
Well
because
done.
they didn't keep records of this because it was all under the table.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Wow, he was a horn dog.
yeah,
I mean, that's what it really was about, right?
probably.
he had an affair. He tried to figure out how to justify it to Emma. Thought, oh, she'll buy this.
He had a revelation.
Yeah, he had a revelation.
Said,
Whenever anything
Guess what God said? I get to fuck this lady too.
and we're married. That's what makes it okay.
Right. Exactly. This isn't illicit
Yeah.
at all.
It's not.
This is sanctioned by
it wasn't-
God.
adultery or fornication or any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I was married to the woman.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we're in Utah.
Yeah.
And nobody was going to come, and then the Utah War happens,
Eesh.
which is the federal government sent troops
Mhm.
out here.
Keep the Mormons in line.
Didn't work.
No.
They
The Mormons were an unruly bunch.
yeah,
They were a whiskey drinking, by the way.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
unruly bunch.
and feisty.
Yeah.
They were feisty.
Yeah.
And plucky. I'm going to give
Plucky,
them pluck.
plucky.
Credit for pluck.
Yeah.
They had a lot of pluck.
When was J. Golden Kimball a thing?
Oh, he was like mid 20th century.
Was he really?
I think so. Or
Okay.
early
Really?
and mid.
Anyways.
I'm not sure about that.
Okay.
I haven't done any research on that
Oh.
right now.
Okay.
So anyway, so the Utah War, which lasted between 1857 and 58, was just a largely unsuccessful mess
Yeah.
in which troops came but didn't really make it very far in, and then left. And so it was still a standoff.
Yeah. Okay.
But there was one thing that Utah really wanted, which was statehood.
At this point, why?
Because I think it was a tax situation. I don't know, why would the Utah
They wanted to be taxed.
I think I mean for a while there it was like this thing where Brigham Young was literally saying he literally did say it at one point something along the lines of, you know, if we'll never achieve statehood because as long as we're practicing polygamy, then we will never achieve statehood.
Well, that's yeah. Okay.
He was, and I think it was a point of pride.
Wives.
But
Well,
here's
he
the
liked his
problem.
wives, yeah.
They were under American rule, but didn't have really any say in the process. So,
Yeah.
So at one point
Lot
they
of
tried
good-
to
okay.
seat a guy in the Senate.
Okay.
Was it Senate? Yeah, they sent Joe Q. Cannon in February of 1882. They sent him to be in the House of Representatives
a
in
non-voting
in
member?
a non-voting seat,
Yeah.
and he was denied his seat.
He was denied a seat as a non-voting member.
Yes,
Whoa.
due to his polygamist things. Like polygamy
Did
was
you say George Q?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
There literally polygamy and slavery were the hot button issues
Yeah.
of the time.
Yeah.
People don't talk about polygamy anymore because it was just this weird thing that was happening. But somebody called it the dual abominations or the
Yeah.
twin abominations of slavery and polygamy.
Yeah. That's
These were
true.
the moral questions of the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, we get to And then there was this interesting campaign where Mormons kept sending people to Washington to lie about polygamy.
Ew.
And it was expressly that. And it was, and like there are notes from meetings where their justification is, the Lord has said it's better to lie and gain access with these people.
Absolutely. That's the kind of lesson you would learn reading the Book of Mormon.
And they were expressly sent to lie.
Yeah.
And they would put their hand on the Bible and swear to tell the truth in front of Congress, and then promise that we're not doing it anymore.
It's better to lie than that a nation dwindle in unbelief.
Or that they not get. Well, okay, so what's happening right now politically is that the federal government has started seizing Mormon property to the tune of like $1 million worth of property back then. Or something like that.
Yeah.
It was like crazy amounts of property.
So it would be like the federal government came in and in today's money confiscated the mall downtown.
Yeah.
The Mormon zone.
Yeah. They're confiscating everything and not giving it back. We're on, I think by this point we're to President John Taylor, the third prophet and president of the church.
Sure, yeah.
He's in hiding. He spent his entire time as the president of the church in hiding.
What?
Because he's under threat of personal arrest.
I saw that church movie.
Which one?
The one where the temple is about to be like dedicated. Because it was under him, right?
Oh, the Salt Lake Temple?
Salt Lake Temple finally got finished.
Oh, he probably came out for photo ops or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was he was hiding.
Mm-hmm.
So then the fourth prophet comes along, one Mr. Wilford Woodruff.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it was Wilford Woodruff. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, see.
It was, yeah.
And Willie starts out his prophet. He knows that like everything's coming to a head.
Yeah.
The poor guy. He's presiding over like the shittiest time to preside over.
Well, it's
like,
the dismantling of like one of their core beliefs.
Well, or everything else falls apart.
Right.
Everything gets confiscated. Everyone gets arrested.
Right.
Essentially, it's Civil War Part 2.
Wow.
Is being threatened.
Yeah, yeah.
And so,
who would have won that one?
But he starts his presidency by saying, literally, he makes this firm statement: polygamy will always be practiced by Mormons.
Okay.
That's not how he ends his presidency.
Oh,
because he's the guy that does the manifesto.
Yeah, but we know, Dan.
Yes.
You say, say what the manifesto was.
The manifesto is basically the prophet saying, "Hey, we got a revelation from God. We're not going to do this anymore." To the Mormons.
It was bullshit.
Well,
it was bullshit. It was him lying again, right?
Well,
because we know that in the Salt Lake Temple, they were still practicing. They were still performing polygamous marriages.
Technically the manifesto was kind of a suggestion.
Oh, good.
I mean, really, that's it was a big show for the nation.
Sure.
And it was like a proclamation, and it was meant to be doctrine. He said that God said this. But yeah, they kind of still, because the thing is that this was now part of their culture. They were defending. I mean, was
it like God told me to say that he said this?
No. This was.
No, I mean, like in his mind, right? Was he like, okay?
No, I think he just committed to it.
Really?
Yeah, but
Did he
here's
give
the thing.
up all his wives?
No, nobody gave up their wives. They just said, we're stopping the practice. We're not going to marry any more people into this practice.
Okay.
In the U.S.
Oh God,
is what they were saying.
Right.
Woodruff himself actually took another wife after the proclamation, after the manifesto, but he did it like on a ship at sea.
Oh my God.
So I think he stayed on the windy side of the law on that one.
That temple up in Canada, that's up in Alberta, basically in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
What was that? Oh, was that really? When was that built? Was that built like while they were still doing temple polygamy stuff?
I don't know. We could look
Like,
that up.
was it specifically built
What was that called?
to do
Cardston?
that? The Cardston Temple, yeah.
That's where my parents were married, by the way.
No way,
Huh.
huh?
Cardston.
But isn't it like in the middle of nowhere?
Yeah, Cardston's not it's when was it? Let's see. Cardston, Alberta Temple.
Because that seems like it was a really early temple to me, in my recollection of
It
Mormon
was
temples.
1913 was when it was announced. and
Oh.
dedicated. So not that early.
Huh? But
Yeah.
but up to the 20s, right? Weren't they sort of still being really secretive about it?
well into the 20th century.
Yeah.
They're still secretly practicing this. It's not getting any official top 3 recognition, meaning the first presidency is saying no,
Okay.
and then a whole bunch of apostles are just doing it on the sly. And I think there's a whole lot of nods and winks happening.
My
Like-
God.
You shouldn't do, and like wrist slapping abounds.
They were in a
Don't-
feet bunch.
No, no. I think literally it fully came to a grinding halt
Mm-hmm.
in 1943
Okay.
with a guy named an apostle named Richard R. Lyman, who was caught cohabitating,
Mm-hmm.
who was caught living with a woman in addition to his legal wife.
Oh my
Or
God.
maybe just with her, but she wasn't his legal wife. I don't know what it was, but
They were a sex obsessed bunch.
yeah,
Don't you think? Don't you think?
at
Don't you
some
think?
point, having had a wife, technically I've had 2 wives. I was divorced once.
Oh.
I one wife is more than enough to handle, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, but you live in an era when women have like.
Rights and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know.
If women were purely just objects, and I mean, like, if you lived in a culture where, like, your sort of position,
Right.
not even sort of manliness, but position was you were given more respect based on the number of wives that you had.
Yeah, that's true.
Wouldn't you just collect them up?
Absolutely. Well, and there is also the thing of like, if your first wife is a really smart and powerful lady like Emma Smith was,
Sure.
you might want somebody fun. You might want to just be like, okay, I'm kind of sick of this. She's way too intense.
Yeah.
Let me just find somebody who's fun and playful in the sack.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
In the
Brigham,
sack.
you devil.
That was Joseph. Oh, and then Brigham actually, Eliza Arson. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
So that's the basic rundown. None of it is anywhere near as clean cut as the Mormon Church would like it to be, including changes to their scripture to first deny it, then to accommodate it,
Mm-hmm.
and then to explain how it's okay that we believed that, but now we don't anymore.
And this brings us back to what you cut me off.
Oh, okay,
from
dive in.
earlier. No, just sort of the idea that in current Mormon practice and understanding of polygamy, this mainstream Mormonism, this is the Mormonism that Romney belongs to.
Right.
This is the big one. This isn't some fringe group.
Right.
Their theology still has a place for polygamy.
Absolutely.
It's just that it's not practiced right now because they believe in obeying the laws of the land. Is
Right.
how a lot of them will say that. Well, that's what it really comes down to. Is it's not legal, so we can't do it, and whatever. It's not a very good explanation. Whatever.
Right.
But anyways, and the way that this works is that the temple ceremony, right, which is where the temple marriage, right,
right.
men are still allowed to be sealed in a temple marriage to multiple women.
Right.
It's just that the only one of them can be currently living.
Right.
So, like, if your wife dies, you can go and get married to another woman.
Or even if you get divorced.
Oh, divorced. You're right.
In the U.S.
You're absolutely right.
If you get divorced from one wife, you can go and be sealed to another
So
wife.
you could still be currently, according to the church, be sealed, which is the equivalent of a marriage.
Right.
And
it's not a
but
civil
it's
marriage.
It's not a civil marriage, and you're not living. You're not cohabitating.
It is a
you don't have
spiritual marriage.
It's a spiritual marriage. You don't have physical relations with that woman.
You have spiritual relations with
you
that
have
woman.
spiritual relations with her. No, but women, obviously, if a woman wants to be sealed to like her second husband,
right,
and she was sealed to her first husband, they actually have to go through this big long process of getting that initial sealing dissolved.
A woman cannot be sealed to more than one man.
Yeah, and they really hate the term temple divorce. they don't like that.
Yes.
So they have to get the sealing dissolved, and so that she can then be married
and sealed
to another guy.
Yeah,
but the men don't have to do that.
Nope.
In cases of divorce or their other spouse passed away or whatever, they don't have to do it.
As a matter of fact, one of the church's bulldogs in the anti-gay marriage fight, one Mr. Russell M. Nelson,
Dun, dun, dun.
who was screaming at the top of his lungs, figuratively, that marriage was one man, one woman. That's what we believe. Marriage should be one man and one woman. And he kept saying it over and over again.
Yeah.
By his own theology, he's married to two women.
Yeah. Yeah.
His first wife died.
According to his belief, when in the afterlife, he will have both of those wives.
Fucking hypocrite. That really drove me crazy.
Yeah.
The fact that Mormons are fighting this fight so harshly. You
You
guys invented non-traditional marriage, you bastards.
they didn't invent it, but they sure did practice it.
They're the ones who brought it to the U.S.
Yeah.
in numbers.
Yeah. Yeah.
You guys created this idea,
Right.
and now you're fighting this hard against it.
Yeah.
It's just bullshit.
Yep.
You're right that they didn't invent it. By the way, they got it. Joe Smith got the idea from some other dude.
Who?
There was a guy who had a weird congregation called the Cochranites. One Mr. Cochran. Jacob Cochran.
What?
You guys should look that up. Yeah, he apparently gave Joe the idea, and then a whole bunch of Cochranites became Mormons,
Shut up.
including like apostles and stuff.
What? That's crazy town.
Yep.
Well, all right. Thanks for listening, guys.
Yeah, we're glad you did. We're so happy to have you each week.
Yeah, join our conversation on Facebook.com/TGIAtheist. Follow us on Twitter at TGIAtheist.
Or email at podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
And you can leave us a voicemail at 424-666-8442.
Also, go on iTunes and write a review.
Oh, yeah, we love that. Thanks
Okay.
a lot, guys.
Bye.